Back in 1949, a man by the name of Joseph Campbell wrote a book called The Hero's Journey. What he did was look at all of these epic narratives across time, space, and cultures, and he noticed they all had the same narrative flow, the same story line. I can summarize it in 4 parts of each hero story, whether we're talking about Lord of the Rings, or Hercules of the ancient Greeks, or Dune, or Star Wars. It's the same story, different faces. It begins, number 1, with a call, where you have a hero who's an unlikely savior who gets this call to go on an adventure. And typically, they'll refuse at first because I'm inadequate, I don't have the skill. But then they meet a mentor. And the mentor, is kind of like Yoda in Star Wars, will coach them or give them the power or the wisdom they need to take the challenge and cross the threshold. Then you get to stage number 2, the challenge. It's a journey. And it's not the ultimate challenge, but it's the challenging journey along the way where you meet enemies and you attract these helpers and allies. And as you go through the journey, the hero develops the skills he needs for the big climactic challenge. That's the 3rd part of the story, where you get this huge ordeal he has to overcome. And in this ordeal, there's going to be a symbolic death, or maybe even literal death itself. And that the hero, with the skills that he has attained from the mentor, with the help that he's gotten from his colleagues, conquers the ultimate evil. And then, this is the 4th part of the story, there's a resurrection where the hero emerges through this great ordeal, through a great sacrifice, symbolic of birth or transformation. It's the resurrection part of the story. Now, even as I describe this, some of you go, wait a minute. Isn't that the story of Jesus in the Bible? Oh yeah, and Moses, and Samson. The same narrative flow that's in our contemporary movies was in the ancient biblical text. Why? Some would say, well, because the Bible's fiction, just like those other stories. No. It's actually because both our fiction in culture, it doesn't matter what culture you're coming from, they all have fiction. The hero stories in culture and the historical stories of the Bible have a deeper underlying truth below it. It is the arc of God's narrative. Even when some secular author or creative artist writes this story out of their imagination, it's not pure fiction they're writing from. It is the DNA that God has put in our hearts. There is a meta-narrative in all stories that are told for heroes, and it all points back to God, preparing us to see Him everywhere. It's part of why we do this At the Movie series, is we want to help people see that the story of God is bigger than just a book we call the Bible. It is embedded through every layer of our culture. Every artist's artistic rendering of a hero narrative, God is there in the middle of it. And if you look, you can find the Easter egg of God that He is hidden in stories of the secular world. And we want to just give you this kind of background idea so that as a group in the middle of summer, you and your group could watch movies in a whole new way. Not just the movies we're doing in the sermon series on the weekend, but pick a movie for your own group to watch and see if you can't find the story of God in it. Good luck.